So today we're just going to go over some of the basics in the financial report designer. This is where you are going to run your balance sheet, income statement, or all of those reports that you would have accessed in the print view, or not print view reports, but actually in general ledger, print financial statements. That's what I was thinking. So I'm going to be all under here under the financial reports menu.
I'm not seeing anything except schedule a session right from your calendar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
Because right now it's showing my audience.
It just says connected to go to meeting. So.
So yeah, we'll just be going over the basics of the financial report designer. It is just these 5 options. There is, even though it's just 5 options, there's a lot of stuff, and this is really a great tool to leverage in the system. So we'll just go down the list first, and I'll explain what these are, and then I can go into more depth on some of these items. So the report viewer is where you're going to go, and this is where it's going to be, you're actually going to print your reports.
I'm sorry, hold on a moment, please.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so this is where you're going to, choose your reports and, print them. This is also where if you archived reports, you would see them. And this is where you would print your groups. So if you, in Origin, you're running groups of statements. You're just, you'll say like, MO group, for instance, and it's going to run your balance sheet and income statement. And it's always going to run those 2. In I-21, we can do that. We can run them both together, same date constraints, or we can run them singularly, and they'll be here. Okay.
Will that come over in the conversion?
Yes, absolutely. So when we go here to the financial report builder, this is where a lot of the actual, if you're adjusting the reports, is going to happen. This screen is actually going to be the focus of tomorrow. What I want to say on this screen is that just like in Origin, we have a report that is a combination of a row and a column design. So when you put those 2 together, you get a grid, and that puts all your numbers out there. So to talk about the conversion a little bit, I went in here and I just put in some reports for the training. When they come over, there is manual work that needs to be done on occasion to make sure that everything's squared away, because not everything is one-to-one from Origin to I-21 with the reports. What we'll do is we'll convert them, and then I will take, say we did it tonight, I would probably just go and do your reports, look at the reports from the end of May, and match them between I-21 and Origin, so they would be the exact same numbers. And a lot of the formatting, it might look a little bit different, but if you had lines and different things, they're going to be there.
Because to be honest with you, Cody, Jerry's the one who runs these. I do not.
Okay.
I'm just sitting in on it because I figure I should know as much as possible, but he's the one who actually pulls reports from General Ledger. So
gotcha.
You said you'll go into more depth tomorrow.
Yep, absolutely. So this is just a, an overview type thing. I was just going to run this. I think this is one, it might throw an error just because, like I said, sometimes there's rows that aren't correct, and but I think this, so like, this one, like I made, I went and converted this one really quick, and this is for June, so there's not a whole lot of stuff in the test environment. But, so we'll be able to get some, nice reports there.
Good.
Okay, so the templates, we have these templates available, and all these templates are basically full-blown reports that use your, numbers, and it just builds them for you. So those are also a tool that you have there. While you do have all of your reports that you've used in Origin, those are going to come over.
Okay.
I'll ask which ones you'd like to do. I don't, they do take some time to make sure they're 100% right. So if there's ones that you never use, we can just, not convert those, or, they'll get converted, but not actually try and match them because, um, we want to focus on the ones that you guys use. So
Mhm.
on these templates, they are, we have the income statement. We have 3 different income statements, 3 different balance sheets, trial balances, and some cash flow, and then trends. And so I'll go into how to use those. One thing that they're really nice for is if you're trying to troubleshoot your own balance sheet, you could do a generated balance sheet, and that can also, be a nice tool to have. The financial report groups, go back in here. This is just like your report groups that you have in Origin. They will, you know, take a report. So to say here, we'll take a report, we can add, location 1 and then do the same report location 2. What they allow you to do is put your, reports and run multiple reports in one fell swoop. So that's what report group is, and we'll go into more depth in a minute. And then budget. This is where you're going to be able to input the budget and save it. We also allow you to import it. So I don't know if you guys currently run, have a budget in Excel or something.
No,
No? Okay.
not that I'm aware of.
Well, if you would like, I have to create an Excel, you can go in here. You can budget accounts and then put those numbers on your financial reports right next to the real numbers. And then you could do calculations that say, right now, what do we compare to our budget for this month? How are we doing
Right.
for the budget for the year? It's a really powerful thing that's really useful. So, you might not use it currently, um, but it's something that if, this is definitely exists and it's definitely nice to use. Okay. So now I'll go a little more in depth on some of these items that we're actually going to go over today. And the first one's report viewer. Report viewer is going to have, each of our reports. And these are the ones that we have built so far. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click, and actually let's get some color today. I'm going to click, and you can see that that one's selected. And I will then go up here and hit print. When I do that, that's going to pull up a pop-up screen, and it's going to have a date, and then a segment filter, suppress 0, and include audit adjustments. The as of date in Origin, we were running it, this period to this period. In I-21, we just give it a date. So the way that I'll set up your reports is if you were going to run your June financials, you would type in June 30th, 2016.
And it will capture the entire month.
Yep, and it'll also know, say you've got a report that does last year, comparison to last year. It'll know, go to
Right.
June 2015, it'll know. So we only have to put in
And if
one date.
if we put in today's date, the 14th, it will give you all the information from June 1 to June 14.
Depending on the report and how it's set up, because some of the reports we just go ahead and, especially like a balance sheet, the way I'll set it up is for periods. More or less, if we want to do it to capture today's date, that's going to be, like an income statement or something, and we can do that, to get some of, the live numbers.
Yeah, because some things you might want just that day's information.
Right, and so yeah, those will be like, specific on situations, but that is definitely a possibility, in a way that we can do things is to set, a specific date. We can, do, that date and everything. It would even capture that first day of the month, that sort of thing. So
Okay. But I mean, on this particular screen, there's not a beginning and ending date.
right, you're putting, yep, there's one date, and when we, go over how the reports actually calculate the dates, you'll see, we only,
Okay.
it's everything is based off of this one date, and that it's, pretty nice that we can do it that way.
Okay.
The segment filter, this is, we don't have any set up, and I'll set one up now, but what that does is that's like your location. So if you're going to run like your profit and loss for location one, you would run it this way, and then you would choose location one. So let's just create one. Oops, I went a little fast. So you could see, again, we have this link that turns orange when I hover. That's going to allow me to create segment filters or edit segment filters. When I come in here, I'm going to put in a name. Yeah. And then I'm going to go over here, and I have locations, all my segments. I'm going to check mark it and hit apply. These are the list of everything you have. This is just what's going to be used. And you'll see some of these screens throughout FRD. So always just remember that the left side is everything that's out there, and the right side is actually what's being used. We can make a segment filter that's, look, I want to see what the combination of location 1 and 7, or, 1, 7, 11. We could do that. For this time, we're just going to do location 1. And yeah, it's just location. Okay, so yep, so then we've got that. We'll save it. And we'll also, when we create these, one thing to note is this display to header. I'm going to check mark it. If we set up the headers correctly, then we're going to be able to actually show, okay, when we print the report, we did P&L location 1. So we'll put this display to header. Okay, so now that we have one created, I'll just go ahead and go here, do location 1. Then the suppress 0 is if the full line all the way across is 0, then it won't show that line at all. It's just going to show, it's going to collapse that line. If you leave it open, it'll actually print every line. I usually do suppress 0 because, a lot of times, just to catch everything, for instance, on your balance sheet, you might have, some accounts that don't have anything in them. And so, there's no point in really showing them at that point. But, that's up to you completely. Sometimes it's nice to not show that. And then audit adjustments were, any adjustments that were made. There are a certain type of adjustment, and I don't, this shouldn't need to be ever checked for you guys at this point, unless you do make an audit adjustment at the end of the fiscal year. So then we'll go here, and then we ran this, and this is what we got from the analysis. I don't know really what that one's supposed to be like, the utility by location, something like that. But it would, run the report for us and show our numbers. So let's see. I think both of these are actually not working when I tried them. So does that make sense how you would then print a report?
It does, but if you go back, it didn't, on that, when you showed the print of that, there was nothing that said this, that it was, what's this year or this month.
Yeah, okay, I can show you there. It's going to come automatically with the default headers. It's going to tell us as of 6/1. I mean, I ran for 6/1, but you can do it'll show us like 6/30, and this is the date that we actually generated it, which is nice because if you're generating like 10 of them,
but I mean, I'm looking at the columns underneath where it says utility expense by location. It doesn't say current month or last year's current month or year to date, but is that assumed?
No, that's just because literally we don't usually do a full conversion of the reports. Like I said, it could take upwards of 8-10 hours to convert them completely. So I just it converts the rows for me, and I have to make the columns, and I just kind of put this one together quickly. So
that's fine.
Yep. So it'll be a lot better here, but I just wanted to get some of them so we have something to play around with, especially for tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm going to close that though, but I made a balance sheet, and I think this one looks a little nicer.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so because I know I worked on this one more,
Mm-hmm.
and I might have even balanced it. I can't remember really because I thought this one came over really nicely. Sometimes they do. So I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to kind of go over,
Yeah.
this stuff up
Okay.
here. This is really similar to what we had yesterday on the reports in General Ledger. We can go down here and we can save files and we can choose different file types. Again, I would recommend PDF or CSV most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, the other thing that we have in here that I want to mention is close period. This will allow you to close the fiscal period. So say you print this report and you see it and you're like, oh, that's, that balances, everything's correct. I don't want any changes to be made from this point on, close it. So,
So you can close it from here, and you don't have to go back into General Ledger to close it.
correct. Yeah, so you can do that right from here, which is good, because it saves you some steps. And then also you're like, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
printed this, I closed it, nothing can change. I'm going to hit archive. I went up there and archived it. Just want to show you how that works. So now I've archived it. Now next time you would go in here to this report viewer, you'll see this type. All of these were single reports that ran, but this is an archive now. And
Mm-hmm.
when I double click it, it doesn't give me any options because all it's going to do is it's going to pull up a report here. So that's where any of your archived will go. So you can keep those in here on the system, as well as you could export it to a PDF. You could have them multiple places where you keep your financials.
Okay. Can you go back and show me what you clicked to get archive on that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Flip this. Yep.
On the
So
print screen.
yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. So then once you actually are looking at it, then you can hit archive. Good.
Yep.
Okay. Then while we're on here, I just want to make note of the trial balance. So I built two different trial balances here. One is by every single account that you have. Then the other one is just taking your primary accounts and grouping up all the locations together. This is where you're going to run your trial balance. I'm going to just run this one quickly. And by default, when I generate them, they're going to be a month's worth of trial balance. But then if you guys want, we can create one that is a year-long trial balance. We can create different ones that we want. But it's going to be in here just like this. And it's going to be similar to the other reports we were just on. So this is going to be your trial balance here.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice that all this text is blue. So let's see, I think probably better to go look at this at one of the expense accounts. Let's try this one. So I'm going to click it. What it's going to do is it's going to drill down and show me what makes up that line. And it's these two accounts that make up that line. And these are, this total is what we were seeing. So you can drill down into that from
Good.
here. And that's going to be
Yeah, I
something.
like that.
Yeah, so that's nice because, some of these, it's hard to tell if there's actually going to be, sometimes you might just drill down and it's just one line. It doesn't, yep, like that. And tell you
Mm-hmm.
that it was literally just that. But, that's nice because, you can see different things here. I find that useful. So
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be your trial balances then for I-21. So moving on to report templates, you might have seen that on that view report screen that it showed that those trial balances were generated from a template. It's because that's what I did. I didn't build anything by hand. I just made a template. So I just made them off of these two. I'll go ahead and create a template of primary accounts of the balance sheet, and we'll just say okay, so we're going to give it a name. You don't have to do this, but it looks a lot better when you do. So just give it a name, and then once it's check marked, hit generate. Okay, so what that's going to do is it's going to build us an account or a report now. So it's going to bring up this screen, which is the builder screen, which would allow us to adjust it. We're not going to go over that today. So I'm just going to go back to my financial report viewer. You'll see that, oh, right there, this one, the primary balance sheet. So something I want to note here, these templates, once you use a template, so I just built a template, I did that, I generated it, you don't need to do it again to generate it. So for example, so I've seen, before I've had people, and every time they want to do a balance sheet by primary account, they come in here, they generate, oh, well, it already has the name. Let's just get rid of the name. We'll generate it, and then you can run it from here. So then they run it from here, and then they're done with it, and everything's closed, and then they come back, okay, well, then I'm going to generate it again. All that does is it just really starts to muddy up your list of reports down here. We have 2 reports here that are the exact same. So if you use report templates, the key is you generate a report once. And if there's times where you want to generate it twice, where maybe you have new accounts, it's been like 6 months, something like that. But for the most part, I would really recommend not doing that, or else you're going to end up with like 30 things on here, and you'll never remember which ones are the right ones. And, I like to keep the report.
So in other words, though, if I generate a report for the month of June,
yep,
and it's saved, and I come in July and I want to generate a new one for July, is all this going to be saved here in the financial report viewer?
Yeah, so let's completely ignore this one. It's then that's probably something that gets people. It says June 14th. That all this date says, because I didn't give it a name when I was given names. It gives it a name and then the time that I actually hit generate and generated it. This date doesn't mean anything to do with like the actual report itself. So when we generated that report, let's say we're in June, we just made this template. So we're running it for June. We run it. And now, say it's July now. Well, let's let it load for a second. And once it's July, so then now we've got this, okay? Now it's July. I'm just going to come back in here, that exact same report that I ran before, this primary balance sheet. I'm going to type in 07/31/2016. And run it for 7/31. So does that make sense? Once you generate a template, it becomes back here to this financial report viewer for you to always come back to. This as of date that it shows here.
But that's only on templates. I mean, that's not, and you would only set the template up basically one time.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Because once you start actually doing your reports, that's under a different icon there, or a little button, a radio button. That's like financial report builder.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this report templates, like you really don't want to be coming in here and generating these reports regularly. Like, if you come in here and generate the same report 5 times, you're just going to add, there's, no value in it. Really, you want to just do it once. So, so you can play around.
And you've already created the basic ones off of what we were already doing in Origin.
Correct. Yep. So the ones that you guys have already that you use will get ready for you.
Okay.
But again, I've used these before when something didn't look quite right, or it can help you diagnose anything that you might see on your other reports.
Right. Or in the event that someone calls up and says, hey, I need a report on just the corn pile expenses, so you're able to pull something down just by expense number and location as an example.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
whoops. Okay, so we'll leave this be for now, and we'll go here to financial report group. Now this group, we'll just call it MO. And I'll set these up, but if you wanted to create one, we got a balance sheet. So what I did was I just picked the report name. So the one we've been using that balance sheet, and I've been looking at it, the same one I archived. And then we're not gonna put a filter on that one. Then let's go to this commodity. I think we'll just use this one because I know it didn't have any errors on it. So we'll just do this analysis one, and we're going to not put any filters on it. That's going to put every location on it. But now let's say that's our consolidated. Now we want to run, we want an analysis one, and we want it to be location 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we do location 2. Let's do location 1 analysis. Okay, let's say that that's our group. So we created a group. We're going to go back here to Financial Report Viewer, and you're going to see this is a group. We have singles, which are one report, a group, which is multiple reports, and then an archive. So I'm going to just double-click this, and just like we do on those singles. But the thing is that we don't put a segment filter in because we already specified that. So we'll just put in 2016.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be here in 2106.
I don't know. Who knows?
I'd be really, really old.
Yeah, I guess that is, yeah. It is quite a while. We can always hope, though. So when I run this, it's going to have, so there's just my balance sheet. Then it's got my analysis of one, the analysis of the others, and so we can go through, and it's all these reports. One thing I'll note, though, so say I export it to PDF, so I'm going to do, it makes it a zip file, which on your computer, you're going to come in here, and it's going to look like a folder, but you can right-click it, and let's see if we've got anything on here. Most of the time on, your Windows 8, 10, 7, you'll have the ability to, let's just see if I can open it. Yeah, there we go. It probably won't look like this, but I just want to kind of show you what it does is that well, we don't have a PDF viewer on here. It's going to if you export a group, it's going to make 4 different, so we have 4 reports. It's going to make 4 different files for you, which is nice. So that's basically, and it's going to tell you it was the analysis report, location 2, location 1. So I just, that wasn't anything important what I was doing there, but more or less just to show how it exports. Because those groups are something that are, pretty widely used in Origin. Okay, so we'll get into the budget. I know you guys were talking, might not use budget currently, but I really, I think it's great to use, and there's a lot of possibilities with it. So I'll just go over this quickly. So you go to fiscal year and choose your fiscal year because that's important. Say we put in a fiscal year of 2015 and then we ran a report for 2016. This budget isn't going to, this budget's not going to say anything. So we're going to go in here and you start choosing accounts, and then you choose how much you're budgeting each month. Okay, so I did that all the way across, and you can see there's what our total is for the year. Say that you wanted to actually budget it. You're going to be looking at your full yearly budget. We don't really care about each month. You could really do this however you want. We could make, the last month of the fiscal year just 50, and that's going to budget for the full year. It's really up to you how you want to use it, and then I could, I'll show more how to use it tomorrow. But this is going to be, the process of putting this in. There also, so I'll just save this. You can export it, which is nice because you can then save it and use that format. No, Excel in Excel, and you could make your budget, and then you can import that budget, so you don't have to go through and type all of these. Then also you can duplicate it so that next year you could have a list of all your accounts. You might have to just change some numbers. So that would be the budget. Is there any questions on that?
No.
Okay. So the last thing I kind of, think we can go over is more cosmetic, but it also is, well, let's not do this one, very helpful on the reports. And those are the headers and footers. Okay, so when I opened the report builder, so what I did was I just went report builder, and I went to double click any one of these. These are all my reports that I can build. And it's going to show me a screen that this is where you would put your row and combine it with your column and give it a name. But the main thing we're looking at here is the header and footer. So we have two options for the headers, and that is page header or report header. Page header is on every page, and a report is just at the beginning of that report. Same with the footers. This check mark right here means use this page header. If you notice right here, when I click over here, that goes away. It's because show default header and footer is not going to be available if we're using our own. The default header and footer is just what you'd seen before at the top that we were talking about. So I'm just going to do a page header. I'm going to click this link, one of those drill downs. That's how, the way we've been doing a lot of stuff. And it's going to pull up this screen. We're going to put in a page header of Cody. And you don't have to put in description or column name, but we're going to go in here and see that we have different options down here to make with our header. Custom is going to let me, I can go in here and say analysis. And, then we have a date range. You can read the descriptions of here, what they actually do. And we have these items that we can put on the report. One thing I want to put on there is the segment filter group, which is, that whole, you show location 1 on the page header. So we're just going to put that on there. You'll notice now I have these row numbers, 1 and 1, then the left alignment. So really what that's doing is it's saying, how do I want to stack it across the top of the report? If I put it in here as 1 and 1, that means the top row would have this word analysis and the filter group on it. We can go down here and we can make this 2, and it's going to put it right below it. We can also put it anywhere on the page. We can left, right, center. So that's how we're going to build that. I'm going to just put some other stuff on here really quick so that we have some examples of, oops. It doesn't matter that my 4 is above my 3. So right, center. So put those on there. So this is, you can go through here and put basically anything, that we had on the default header where you'd like it, as well as give it custom names, because it's just automatically the default header is going to look at this name, and that's what it's going to put at the top. You might have a better name for it. Remove that line. Yeah. Okay. So now in this drop down here, I'm going to choose my header I built, hit generate, and I'm going to show you what we got here and how that all comes together. Okay, so you can see I had 4 rows and then I had, one in each column, or 2 in this column, and then one in each of these. So that's how you could see how it kind of cascades based on the row. It's kind of like this grid up here at the top of the report, same at the bottom, and there's just rows and then columns here based on left, right, or center alignment.
Now, if I wanted them all to be on the same line, I would just make sure that I had it, could I say row 1 but center?
Yep, so let's just do
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Yep, so I think you got it on there. It's just, oops, close that. Okay, you can see that
Yeah, okay.
it got pushed over a little bit, but then on here, let's put that back to 2, but on here, something I want to show is, you saw it was in just like the default text size and text color. There wasn't anything special. You might want your, your name or your report to be a little bit bigger. I click this little pencil here. So you give me an option for formatting. I can change a few, between a few fonts, and then I like to, usually on my report type titles, I like to make them a little bit bigger and bold, and I didn't want to change this. Let's just stick with that. Hit OK. Save it. And that's going to allow us to change the look of the font. You can see it's bigger. Bold.
Yeah.
So which is really nice. I mean, a lot of times you want to use that. The footer is going to offer us, the same options. It's just going to put all of that at the bottom. So you can go in here and create multiple different headers and footers and apply them to the reports that you'd like to use. Is there does that sound good so far then?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, cool. Yep, so those are something basically, depending on the headers and footers, going back to the conversion of the ones that you have, let's just see, let's look at one of these, balance sheet. I'm just gonna look at something really quick. Yeah, it's gonna convert some of the headers type, how you had them, but not all of it. So, there is, if you wanna, recreate some of the stuff that was on there, you could see like this was one of the headers on the from origin. So some of them will come over, but these are things that I'll probably want to change to kind of keep with the same form. So I was going to go back to any questions because that's really the most of the content that I wanted to go over today to get, kind of a kickstart on the financial report designer so that we can actually dig into this whole financial report builder screen, which offers us quite a bit.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'll talk to you tomorrow, Cody.
Yep, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you, Cheryl.
Yep, talk to you guys tomorrow.
All right. Have a great afternoon.
Yep, you too.